This is Teeter at the start of Season 5, Episode 10, The Apocalypse of Change. And y'all, this scene is gonna give me nightmares. You see the Texas crew set up their camp on an old prairie dog town, which rattlesnakes took over, and that's a big problem.
There's another one!
A really big problem. Shout out to Gator through all of this, though.
These things are real good once you fry them up. Tastes like alligator.
Did any of this matter in the big picture? No. But it was one of those great, gritty cowboy life scenes that makes this show amazing, and it really sustained us through about 30 low-key minutes of this most recent episode. I also spotted something else early on that gives just a little bit of legitimacy to theories like this. But I want to get right to the heart of this episode. The action didn't progress as much as I anticipated it would, but there were certainly some twists and turns, like the introduction of this guy.
Frogman, long time. What's shaking, man?
I don't know his name yet, but I believe he's really going to change the narrative of this show. Actually, let's start right there. Subscribers have told us to get right to the point, so here we go. Kayce Dutton is calling in backup.
How y'all talking black work these days?
You got a problem?
Yeah.
I'm gonna text you an app to download and transfer your contacts and call me from it.
One more time, because I'm going to admit I didn't really understand that question at first.
How y'all talking black work these days?
You got a problem?
Yeah.
How y'all taking black work these days? That's what Kayce says, meaning how do you talk about illegal stuff on a secure line? If you recall, Kayce was a Navy SEAL before returning to Montana. The show really explored that in seasons 1 to 3. There was even that short season 1 plot line where Kayce considered re-enlisting, but obviously he chose not to do it. He still has connections, and this guy presumably works for some sort of shadowy government agency who still has connections and an awareness of bad actors. You know, the type that would take $40 to $50 million to assassinate a governor and make it look like suicide.
You be real careful sniffing around these and I mean real careful.
Appreciate it, man.
You hang in and I'll get back to you.
We didn't get any resolution there, but the scene did two things. First, it set up a new villain. Look for a direct fight with whomever pulled the trigger in the final 4 episodes of Season 5 of Yellowstone. It also showed that Kayce is all in on the Jamie did it theory, which is significant because he never went and talked to Jamie. Beth did it. Now, I called it the Jamie did it theory because we know Sarah hired a hitman to make John Dutton's death look like a suicide, and we know John Dutton died of an apparent suicide. But do we know that Sarah's hitman did the job? Not yet. Something Lloyd said during this episode got me thinking of another theory that maybe someone else went after Governor John Dutton.
I don't believe that bullshit in the newspapers. Someone caught up to him.
Yeah, it seems that way.
What do you think? Possible? Too tricky? It's sneaky, but I'm good with it if it pays off. In general, Yellowstone fans don't like outright deception, which is why Aura, the sponsor of today's video, is so important. More on them in a moment, because I really want to talk about that conversation that Beth and Jamie had.
Last chance, Jamie. Okay. Next time is the last time.
Jamie looks really guilty, right? Now I stand by what I said after episode 9. Sarah and Jamie's original plan was to hire a hitman to kill Beth, not John, and right now it's looking like the show pulled a bait and switch, but we're gonna have to just move on. Time codes and links below if you want to run down that theory, but it's absolutely true that they never said John Dutton's name during an illicit conversation from episode 8. During episode 10, Jamie more than sticks to the script when he meets with Sarah and Ellis, that slimy lawyer from Market Equities.
I'll be seeing the lieutenant governor to reinstate the lease, which Governor Dutton had no authority to negate, as your lawsuit states.
I mean, there's no remorse here. Jamie has promised to work to get Beth's conservation easements revoked and to approve ME's airport plans on the Yellowstone ASAP. He also said there'd be a special election for governor.
We would be very supportive of you, should you choose to run, Jamie.
Thank you. That's the plan.
This whole sequence was the most important takeaway from episode 10. Last week, we left Jamie feeling distraught and guilty over what happened, but now he's pressing forward, and Sarah loves it. Good God, woman, don't you have any normal underwear? Two things happened earlier in this episode that foreshadowed what a season 5 finale could look like and what that rumored spin-off with Rip and Beth could be about. The first was Kayce's conversation with his son Tate about the death of his grandfather. He's trying to tell him that, hey, this ranch is yours if you want it. Big if there.
I don't have ambition like Beth. I don't feel the duty that drove my father. I've never had a job that made me feel whole.
Both Duttons seem conflicted, to say the least, and so does Beth. Remember this scene from their hotel room? This was part of the flashback sequence, but once again, she's sounding pretty uninterested in running a ranch for the remainder of her life.
Imagine all the things that we could do if we weren't shackled to that ranch.
I'm gonna drill down what that could mean later this week in an episode 11 preview video, but the long and short of it is, if nobody wants the ranch, who gets it? I think I know. Sadly, we did say goodbye to one character, or maybe not so sadly, I'm not sure yet. That's next, but first, I gotta point out this moment from Rip.
It's the first time I've been out in Montana ever.
Gosh, Rip really is the best, isn't he? Have you ever noticed that the Yellowstone Ranch really doesn't have a high-tech security detail? There's no armed guard at the gate, there's no cameras, elaborate locks, and the valuables. There's Rip. Quiet, simple, human. That's kind of my favorite part about Aura, the sponsor of today's video, and the leader in identity theft solutions. You don't need 18 different ways to protect your home and family if you've got one good one. Credit theft, spam, hackers looking to get into your bank accounts, these are the wolves circling your family, whether you like it or not. I just read how earlier this year, an online background check company called National Public Data experienced a data breach that let 2.9 billion records leak. Billion! In May, Ticketmaster let over 500 million records leak. Aura provides protection and peace of mind. Kind of like Rip. It's super quick to sign up and begin the free 2-week trial. Instantly, you're going to see where you stand. If your social security number's out there, you'll know. If there's suspicious activity at your bank, you'll get an alert like this one. With 3 boys at home, I like that there are some parental controls so I know if someone's trying to target my family. I mean, even Rip relies on Lloyd to do some of his bidding. As far as spam calls and texts, you're instantly added to the Do Not Call registry and removed from a bunch of data broker lists. Aura filters out potential spam and scams so you'll only receive legitimate calls. Would it be cheesy if I said that they take scammers to the train station? I mean, maybe, but it's true. Visit aura.com/tasteofcountry. The link is in the description if you can't get to it right now. They give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. And then after the free trial, plans start at just $9.99 a month. You're smart, go ahead, compare for yourself. I think you'll really feel safe with Aura guarding your private information. I feel pretty safe with Rip and Lloyd guarding the Dutton Ranch. But wait a second.
Well, should we be looking for a job?
It can't hurt to see who's hiring.
Now, that was unnerving, right? The Cowboys are in Texas, Lloyd is on Cowboy LinkedIn, and even Summer is saying goodbye. That's right, Summer. And I do believe we've seen the last of Piper Parabo's Summer Higgins, and you're gonna have to help me decide if her character really brought any value to this show. I think she could have, had Kevin Costner returned, but with John Dutton dead early, Taylor Sheridan was probably like Beth when she rounded that corner and saw Summer.
I forgot all about you.
I was a little surprised she got so much screen time during this episode, but the long and short of it is that she was really never under house arrest. John Dutton just sort of tricked her into thinking she was, and she was free to leave, and then she does so with a warm goodbye from Beth.
I hope you donated your body to science so doctors can study how big a you are.
Well, I didn't close the door.
Rip actually took her to the airport. Felt like a pretty little job for a big man, but whatever. I'd have called her a taxi. In a way, we've kind of said goodbye to Teeter, too, or at least a version of Teeter. Anyone else notice that ever since she lost Montana, Tita's lost her swagger? She's suddenly afraid and vulnerable and taking piggyback rides from Jake. It's just something to be aware of. I kind of like this more well-rounded Teeter. At the start of this episode, after Teeter's encounter with the rattlesnake, Kayce, Monica, and Tate spend some time working on their new old house. I think this season is going to feature a lot from this family, which is really different from Season 5 Part A, which more or less let them grieve the loss of their baby in peace. Post-grief Monica is a really compelling character because she's just aware of so much more.
When your father gets quiet, that's when you talk to him.
This really hit home. In fact, if you're a father or a husband, I'd love to know if you felt it too. My wife knows, hopefully, that when I pull away, it's when I need her most, and I just love how the show portrayed that. Hopefully she doesn't get caught in the crossfires after Kayce makes his phone call, but, we'll see. That scene where they're repairing the house came with a really great song that I just can't identify or find on Google. See if you recognize it.
Dark and dreary place at times, need a space to rest a while. Deep inside my heart, home steady.
Elsewhere, we heard Colter Walls for a long while at the Speakeasy, in Miranda Lambert's Locomotive as Beth gets pulled over for speeding. At the very beginning was another Colter Walls song called Night Herding Song.
Bunch up, little doggies.
Great music this episode. Before I leave, I'll leave you with one more thought for next week. As I said, we know Sarah paid for a hit, and we know John died from a hit, but there's a sliver of a chance that someone else got to him first, and that's all kind of fascinating. Some fans just can't accept that John Dutton is dead, and that sounds pretty bananas unless you consider the intro sequence for the show. Why would Kevin Costner's name be in the credits if he didn't make an appearance? I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.